So welcome to being your best self.
My turn with the questions. We're both into our mountain biking, and people will have various experiences or perceptions around that. And I'm just going to quickly sum up what it is that drew me into it and why I find it's an important part of my daily life. First and foremost, there's no denying the adrenaline. It's just amazing. You put enormous effort in to climb up some very big hills and mountains, and the fun element of coming down the other side at speed is immense. I usually have a grin literally from ear to ear whenever I go mountain biking, and that's just awesome. The second reason that I do it is to get out into nature, because I think that's really important. Like many of us, I'm sat at a desk for many hours every day, and I just feel sometimes that I'm quite disconnected from nature. So getting out there on my bike at one with nature, I think is fantastic, and you get to see some really exquisite landscape. And the last one for me, and this probably leads on from that previous point, is the kind of reset element that there is. So when you're out on the mountain bike, you've got to be fully focused on the challenges as they're presenting themselves. And I find that immensely useful for a switch off from everything else that might be happening in life. So that's what kind of three things drive me. And go on, Nathan, what about you? Tell us about your
Not quite as hardcore as your story, but I'm a good man. I love mountain biking as well. I tend to, I go out with mates sometimes. I tend to do it with friends, actually. We tend to go. So one of the themes for me has been actually, I was just thinking about other stuff that's going on, but actually spending time with friends, especially if you're blokes, you need to get out and do stuff, because blokes are rubbish at talking about things that really matter over a cup of tea. I haven't met one yet that does it very well. But when you're riding down a hillside and your pants are on fire and the fear's kicking in, it's amazing what you're prepared to share and discuss and kind of talk through. And I was just chatting to Andy as well about the whole idea of practice, because especially when you're doing short course stuff, it's fantastic to just push yourself to the limit sometimes and see how far you can go. Now, admittedly, there's going to be some bruises and bumps and sometimes some more serious injuries, but I'd never take that away, because actually that's part of what that experience is. And it's just amazing. The other thing I was just thought about was I used to have a mountain bike, and it was called a Ridgeback 95. Guess when I bought it? I had this bike for years, actually, up until probably about 5 years ago. And this bike went through the whole life cycle with me. It started off as my trail bike, then it got downgraded to my town bike. Then it got downgraded to my kids' bike, in terms of it had all the baskets on it. It used to have a trailer behind it. And this bike was fantastic, an aluminium frame. It was a lovely bike. And then eventually I was cycling along one day and the whole thing just broke into, the bottom bracket, like the rear drops. And it just made me think, actually, as we progress and we do stuff, so often we take tools beyond their usefulness, and it's because we love them, but actually they need to be gone sometimes.
True. Yeah, they get under your skin. Yeah. I think that's a great point. Great point. Yeah. So, thinking about people that are watching, listening, what kind of cycling do they do? Do they kind of connect into cycling for their health, fitness, mental well-being? Or is it just pure fun? And, that is equally as much part of your mental well-being, I believe, anyway.
Yeah. Let us know. And do you race people on the road? Are you prepared to let people go past you? How do you feel about that? And the last thing is, how do you feel about people that go past you that have got a cheaper bike than you? These are all the issues you have to deal with, especially when you start to get to our age.
I'll answer that. I'll get the ball rolling. I like to do it best when I'm on the child's pull-along bike with the trailer, and if I see someone that's not performing on a performance road bike, I love to overtake them.
And I hope you don't get the kids to stick a twig through their wheels.
No, we don't go quite that far, but I just know how much it would upset me if I was on that bike and someone pulling a trailer.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think that's a real challenge for us, isn't it? As we be our best self, actually, are we authentic? Do we need a 10 grand bike to be authentic? Or actually, you can get second hand, but you can get all sorts of stuff. And I think it's more about us and why we're doing it. Don't get me wrong, I love the best stuff. It's brilliant. But at the same time, is that what we really need? And what are we sacrificing to have that?
Agreed, completely. You know, and that 10 grand might be a lot better spent in many other ways as well. You know, mainly maybe on a gym membership instead of just going down the pub and then thinking a ride on the mountain bike will fix everything.
We should talk about gyms next because I like that subject.
There we go. Gyms it is next, folks. Away we go.
Cheers.